Hey everybody, it's a mailbag. I think I have about 8 items. One of them is a duplicate here, and one of them is not particularly a maker item. I just don't know which one's which, so I'm going to open it up. Alright, let's see what we got here. We have a suction cup magnet mount, and this was the thing that I was thinking is not necessarily a maker item, but that's never stopped me before. I broke the one in my van yesterday, and so I got one of these. I'm not sure if I like that style suction cup. I got another one of these mounts. I really like these types of mounts in general. I like the magnet mount, and I bought a new phone. I bought a Pixel 4a, and so I need another magnet thing anyway, or another metal plate anyway, so that's good to have that. That is a heck of a magnet. Goodness. Now what I do with these is I actually JB weld this to the back of the case. I don't screw around with having the magnet come off and breaking my phone or anything like that. So for those of you who've never used these things, they come with these little metal things in several different shapes. I only use the bigger ones because, again, I don't screw around. And then this goes on the back of your phone, sticks there. The adhesive is fine. You never know if this is a real 3M adhesive or not, but either way, I live in Florida, and so the heat will bake that off, but JB Weld will absolutely keep it on there. This suction cup, usually the black suction cups are a little bit better in terms of not coming off the dashboard or not coming off the windshield, but I'm going to try this one and see if it keeps falling. I might JB Weld this to the van dash for all I care. So yeah, magnet mount. I think this was like 15 bucks, which feels a little expensive, but I use it every day. It keeps the phone out of my hand. So, you know, what are you going to do? Next up, we have an item that is a little bit more makerish. And I'm mainly opening this up on camera to talk about the concept of it. This is a Lifx smart light, no bridge, no hub, just Wi-Fi. And so this is an 8.5 watt 2700K, which I think is a little more on the yellowish side as opposed to the white side. And it is a smart light bulb. Now, as somebody who is extremely security conscious, the idea of this scares me a little bit. No, it scares me a lot. And when you open this up, I actually got several different versions of these things on Prime Day. And so I may be playing around with some of them. I may actually be breaking this one open. That's a heavy bulb. But the idea behind this is there's actually a little web server in here. And the fact is, when you put something like this on your network, you have no idea where all that data is eventually going and what ports are being opened. I mean, you can find out, and that's part of what I'm doing is I'm working on a hardware hacking series that you'll be hearing a lot about. But this bulb is a server, and when you put this on your network, you are giving it essentially the same access as somebody who had plugged in inside of your house. And so what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be updating my network so that I have not just a guest network, but I have 2 physically isolated networks, which is trickier for me than for most people because my house is spread over 2 buildings. So my office is, 70 feet behind my house. And so right now I'm running a Ubiquiti set of antennas between the 2 buildings that are giving me Wi-Fi. But what I'm going to do is to run fiber optic cable between the 2 buildings. And then, so what that will do is that will give me 2 links between the office and the house, and anything IoT related is going to go over the AirBridge network, and the actual office network will be fiber optic. And then, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an IoT network and a physical network, and my office will be physically isolated from the rest of the network, so that if somebody were to have a malicious light bulb or open up an email, they wouldn't be able to get back to my servers with any kind of malware or anything like that. So I'm going to be playing around with these kind of stuff. I got a bunch of these bulbs for next to nothing on Prime Day, and so I might be breaking a couple of them and looking at them. I might be hacking a couple of them, but we're going to take a look and see what these things can do. Next up, this one is out of the package because I needed to take a look at it. And I've actually had this for a while, but I don't think it's ever appeared on camera. If it has, then I'm sorry. But this is an STM32 board by Alimex. And for those of you who have hung around this channel for a while, you know that I am a giant fan of Alimex. And the reason why I like them, well, let me show you the reason why I like them. I like them because they are willing to do things that nobody else does, like this board here, which I sent one of these to Pile of Stuff, but I use these all the time. These are ESP32 boards with Ethernet and some relays and infrared and all that kind of stuff on them, and that's just cool. They also have, this is a screen, and they have this very cool UEXT connector here, which can allow you to daisy chain different devices on here. This is an Alimex screen. I've used this in a project before. I don't even remember what this one is. Okay, this is the Alimex PoE board, which is similar to this without the relays, except for the fact that it can be powered over Ethernet. So it's really good for putting in long distance locations with that same UEXT connector available for add-ons. So this one with the EXT connector is a little bit different. This is an STM32 board where the other ones are ESP32s. And I am not quite sold on STM32 yet. It's one of those things where you watch videos and people will point out, well, the STM32 is a little bit better at analog to digital or digital to analog, or it's a little bit better in this area, a little bit better in that area. Where it is not a little bit better is in software support and just straight up ease of programming. And so there may come a time when the STM32 is the right use for my projects, and so I want to have it in my arsenal, but for now I've basically found that it's a lot more of a pain to deal with than a standard ESP32 board. Now this one is based on the STM32F3, and there is a little, let me go over what the board is meant to do. This board is primarily meant to be used in CAN bus applications, so automotive applications and things like that. And that's why I got this. This was actually sent to me, I should say, this was sent to me for free by Alimex. I asked for it and they were gracious enough to send it. The problem is that back in July, they made a pull request to the STM32 repository, and it has still not been accepted. So I am recording this October 22nd, 23rd, something like that. I don't even know. It's been a long month. But anyway, that has still not been accepted. And so to use this thing with the Arduino IDE has just caused me all sorts of fits. So I'm kind of having this thing on the sideline. You can't just go in there and say it's a generic STM32F3. It doesn't work that way. You need this actual board definition. They've had a couple workaround things, and I just have not been able to get it to work. But one day I'm hoping that I will get an update on my board manager and I will be able to just plug this in and program it with the Arduino IDE. It has a micro SD card slot. It uses micro USB. It has it's got power. It has external or a power reset switch, power switch. This is an internal button that can be used for whatever you want. Has battery management, all that kind of stuff. But right now, I just can't program the thing. And for the board's only $10, and for a $10 board, I'm just out of time messing around on it. So I really hope that this gets straightened out and that I'll be able to come back to this and I can give you guys an awesome review because it looks like a really promising board. Speaking of STM32, we have these, and I got them from what is that store called? Micro Center. So last time I was up at Micro Center, I got these GHI Electronics Brains mini computer that something, learn to code, STEAM. Let's see, what do they call the thing? They call it the Brainpad, brainpad.com, and I have one of them out of the package and one of them still in the package in case I decide to give it away. But it is a very cool all-in-one STM32, and I thought this would be an interesting thing to learn STM32 on. It has a built-in temperature sensor, accelerometer, it has a light sensor, it has these 4 directional buttons here. We've got the STM32, we have a buzzer, an RG, I don't know if that's RGB, that just looks like an LED, we'll find out. Servo motor control and an OLED display soldered right on the thing, as well as some GPIO. You have your Mozzie, Mizo, and all those kind of things, just SDA, SCL, your serial in and out are all here accessible on the board itself. You also have these 4 pins here, which I think are for programming this directly. So I have not done any programming on this. Let me fire it up. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you can see that right out of the bat, we have the accelerometer, the light sensor. Where is the light sensor at? Is it right there? Yeah, the light sensor is right there. You can get the little different buttons, do anything. The buzzers are working. And so, what I liked about this was the fact that it could, you had all these things already built in so that when you want to start playing with STM32, I'm not having to breadboard stuff. I have some very basic stuff to work with in here. And I found, when I looked online, I did find some libraries that gave me, some pinouts of this kind of stuff so I could learn how to work with it. So this is the Brainpad, a little bit of flux there. This is the Brainpad. I think it's a pretty cool board. I think it's a cool STM32 starter kit in a single board, and I paid $9.99 for it. I feel like it was a little bit more on sale than that. I feel like I paid $8 a piece. Maybe they were 10. But I bought 2 of them at Micro Center, and yeah, we'll see if I can come up with something interesting to do with them. Next up, we have these little doohickeys, and they were for a project that I didn't wind up using them because, well, so let me show you first. They are little sound amplifier boards, and they're like Class D amplifiers. And the reason why I got these is that they can be powered from 3 to 6 volts. Let's see what it says here on the package. They are the High Let Go 5 pieces PAM84, and they have 2.5 to 5 volt input here. I was thinking they said 6 volts on the website. But the idea with these is that they're little teeny tiny amplifiers that you can power from, I wanted them for 5 volts, and they're stereo amplifiers. And you've got the little inputs here. And so what my plan was is that I made the IT Waker Upper, and I thought in the event that they were not loud enough, I could use these little boards to give a little oomph to those speakers. And so the fact is, the one in my room, the one that I made in that old phone case, is ridiculously loud, and the one in my office is probably loud enough. But most likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this on the one in my office to make it a little bit louder. So I got 5 of them, and I believe they were $10 from Amazon. I ordered them from Amazon because I thought I needed them in a hurry. Turns out I didn't, but I didn't really spend that much more getting them from Amazon. So these are the Class D amplifiers from High Let Go, and yeah, 5 of them, so not bad. Next up, we have an item that was in a similar item. Looks like I bled all over it. A similar item that was in my previous mailbag, except just more of them. So these are those adapters that I showed you before. Let's see if I have a 2.5 or 2.1 millimeter around here. Okay, so this is my barrel jack box. And in a previous mailbag video, I got these. And you can see that one of them is already gone, and that's because it is in permanent installation already. So you have your typical 2.1 millimeter barrel jack that is the most common, but unfortunately it's not universal. And so there are a million different styles of these barrel jacks as you look down the middle, different insides, different outsides, different shapes, different things like that. And I have a decent sized box of power bricks, but it just, you know how it is. You never have, if you have the right voltage and the right amperage, you don't have the right connector on the end. So what I decided is that I'm going to try as much as possible to save ones that have the 2.1 millimeter by 5.5, I think it is, millimeter barrel jack on them, and I'm just going to get these adapters. And so this is a set that has a ton of different ones that weren't included in this set. And as I use them, I'm going to try to remember to replace the ones that I used. But I am trying to build up a little collection of these things so that when I have a real need for a project, when something needs to happen, I can convert from the typical 2.1 millimeter to these. And so this is a whole nother set that I bought off of AliExpress. This one came from eBay. But these are fantastic to be able to take your standard one and adapt into something weird like that. Now, I'm not going to go crazy buying a ton of them, but I would like to have a fair amount of these things on hand to add to my barrel jack collection. I think I even did a Raid My Lab on barrel jacks, but there's all kinds of fun barrel jack adapters, things like that you can get. But these are going to be game changers, and I want to thank Pile of Stuff for biting the bullet and ordering these so that I went and got a bunch more. Two more. We've got a box, and I totally missed the seam there. I think I know what this is. Yes. So when I was building my IT Waker upper, imagine my horror when I was out of my standard ESP32. In fact, I had to take one out of another project. So I got 10 ESP32s of my favorite variety. Now, I've shown you before that there are the ones with the 18650 battery holders on them. There are the ones with the OLED screens on them. There are the Node MCU versions. But so many of my projects have been based on this standard one, which I don't even have a name for it, but I just call it the one with the yellow pin headers. And because of the way these things work, there's so many different versions of pin headers and so many different things broken out on these different ones that it is really easy, or it is really nice to be able to use the same form factor over and over again. And I just kind of fell in love with these. I don't like to have to go out there and solder pin headers on these other ones right before you do a project. Like, I like to be able to just go in there and have the pin headers on, and then maybe I'll transfer to something like this for my final project. But so I got 10, and I think I paid $33, which because of shipping was a little bit more than it had been. But I got 10 of these ESP32s to restock the collection, and I already have a use for a couple more of them. So I am going through these things fast and furiously in my projects. Last up, we have another device that has not been opened, but I had been taken out of the package. And I'll give you a little preview as to what this is for. Now, this is another one of those things that I would not normally want on my network. Not a giant fan of these companies having direct access to my network, but this is a WiseCam, and these things are great. This was, I think I paid $10 for this one on Prime Day. And I don't know if I'm supposed to show you that QR code on the bottom, so I won't. But these little 1080p webcams with, I'm guessing that's a little power supply or something. I've never owned one before. My friend Kowalski owns a bunch of these things and just raves about them. So yeah, you've got a power brick, you've got a mount, you've got some supposedly 3M adhesive, you've got a really thin, two really thin. What's the deal with that? I guess it's just the way it's wound. Yeah, you've got a really thin micro USB cable. But the idea is that you've got these little 1080p cameras that you can either view live or you can pay for a service where you can view history with them. So I'm actually not sure if I've told you guys about this, but I bought a claw machine back in maybe June, and I have remote controlled it and made it so you can view it online and different things like that, which again, I'm not going to put publicly. But I want to try to use this camera to view online. And the specific reason for that is that I know for a fact that with some trickery, I can actually make this camera have the raw live footage show up in an iframe on a website. And so I am going to try to perform that trickery on my claw machine. And if that works, you'll see that in the video. If not, you'll still see a breakdown of the claw machine, how I'm remotely controlling it and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that is my haul for this week. I appreciate you guys watching. Hit that subscribe button and have a great day.